are at our first video lesson. It is pre-recorded. I hope you're having a good time at home. And we're going to try this first lesson out today. It has to do with lost my pen. Section 10.7. Okay. Now I sent you some information. You have the first 2 pages here that you should have read along with page 409 of your textbook on half planes. Let me just touch on this before we go forward. I don't want to run out of battery on my camera. In chapter 8, we learned about linear equations and how to graph them. We graphed them using different methods. We graphed them making an XY table. We graphed them finding the x and y intercepts and using those 2 points to graph the line. And then we found how handy the slope-intercept form was for graphing, and we used that a lot, and that's our favorite form, of course. Where y equals mx plus b, and m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. We moved on to chapter 9, where we learned to solve systems, which would be, generally was 2 equations, 2 lines that you would graph and find the intersection if there was one. The solution of the system was where they intersected. And we solved those systems graphically, we solved them by substitution, and we solved them by elimination, and elimination with multiplication first, so that you could cancel those like terms when you added the equations. So that was a summary of chapter 8 and 9. So we did a great job. You did a lot of work. Okay? We're going to use all those skills here to finish up chapter 10. It's not too difficult. You also have this page to look at to help you with your homework assignments and going step by step. Make sure you read page 490 of your text on half planes. Let's begin with graphing this inequality. I'm going to pull my shade down. And we're going to graph the inequality. That looks very much like the equalities that we were graphing. And that's where that's going to come in handy. In this inequality, the slope is still 4, and the y-intercept is still -3. Y is greater than mx plus b. So we are going to graph this related equation, but we're going to take into account the fact that this is an inequality. Therefore, will any point on the line satisfy that inequality? What do you think? The answer is no, because there's no equal sign with it. So when we graph that line, we've got a b of -3, a slope of 4, up 4 over 1. Here is our line. Hopefully you can see that that is a dashed line. The dashed line indicates that no point on that line will satisfy that inequality. So another way of saying that is that no point on this line is a solution to that inequality. If I pick 0, -3 and put it in, it does not make a true statement. That is analogous to when we were graphing solutions on a number line in one variable. An open circle would indicate that that point is not a solution, and a closed circle would indicate that it is a solution. So similarly, a dashed line indicates that nothing on the line is a solution, and a solid line would indicate that every point on the line is a solution. But since this is an inequality, it's not just a line that is or isn't have solutions to the inequality. An entire half plane is going to satisfy this. So we have to decide, is it that half plane that satisfies the inequality, or is it this half plane? To do that, we are going to do trial and error with 2 points. We're going to pick a point on each side. Make sure that you pick a point from each side. That tends to be the most common mistake, is you thought it was on one side, but it wasn't. So be careful and make sure you're clearly on one side or the other. Let's test 0, 0 right there. We put that in and it works. Let's try 2, 0, which is over here. We put that in and it comes out with a false statement. Therefore, the half plane that contains 0, 0 is the half plane that works, and you can see that that is shaded. When you're shading these at home, you can use the side of a colored pencil or the side of your lead, make it a little messy to shade it, or you can just do that if you like. Okay? You shade the half plane where the solution worked, and we have now graphed the solution to the inequality, and all the points in the shaded area are solutions to that inequality. Not too bad. Let's do one more, hopefully before my battery runs out. Let's graph x plus 2y is less than or equal to 3. What's different about this one? Who can tell me? That's right, it's not in y equals mx plus b form. And it also is less than or equal to. So the first thing we need to do is what? Put it in slope-intercept form. And here we go. You all know how to do that. Okay? We have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 0. There's our m and there's our b. A b of 0, a slope of negative 1/2 would be down 1 and over 2. There's our line. Does the line need to be solid or does it need to be dashed? What do you think? It needs to be solid. Yes, you are correct, because that is a less than or equal to sign. So therefore, if I try 2 comma negative 1 in here, up in here, 2 comma negative 1, that will work. We will get 2 minus 2, 0 is less than or equal to 0, and that will work. So the line must be solid. Now we have to decide on the half plane. So we're going to test 2 points again. Oops, let me move that down just a little bit so you can still see the graph. We're going to try 1 comma 0 and negative 1 comma negative 1. 1 comma 0 is up here in red. There's negative 1 comma negative 1. 1 comma 0 does not work, does not make a true statement. Negative 1 comma negative 1 does make a true statement. Hooray! So therefore, and you can already see the solution is done here, that is shaded. If you prefer to do that, you can do that. Okay? And just to summarize that one, the shade, the half plane, we want to shade the half plane that contains negative 1 comma negative 1 because that was a point that satisfied the inequality. And this is just the same as the graph above. Just put another second one in at the bottom. This is the graph of the solution to this inequality. And there you have it. That's all there is to it. You have your homework assignment in facts. Good luck. Let me know if you have any problems. And we will move on to, I think, the last section, which is doing a system of these.